everyone, how you doing? Before we get started, I just want to say that this is a spoiler-free review. I'm going to give my take on the movie, but no worries, I will not spoil anything important. I'm going to give you guys first impressions review, my takes on the movie, no spoilers. So, right from the get-go, Superman is very good. As a lifelong comic book fan and DC fan who loves to read, I can confidently say that James Gunn's Superman is my favorite Superman movie I've ever seen. I have a ton of nostalgia for the Donner and Chris Reeves Superman movies, and I have endless love for Cavill's Superman, as well as thoroughly enjoyed Man of Steel, and yes, even Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. I do love that movie, the Ultimate Edition anyways. That being said, the movie made me feel like a kid again. Very quick before I continue, I want to give thanks to all my subscribers so far. The channel has been steadily growing, and we are at 75 subscribers currently. The goal is to hit 100, so if you like the content, please consider giving a like and a follow just to support the channel. I'd really appreciate it. It would be super helpful. Anyway, back to it. The rumors circulating that Superman feels like a very long live-action episode of Superman the Animated Series, those rumors are true, and it is the best compliment that this movie can receive. David Corenswet plays a caring, guardian-like Superman who has been Supermaning for the past 3 years or so. Something almost immediately apparent to audiences is the farm boy, Boy Scout charm that we see from him. The fact that he was raised by two down-to-earth farmers, people-loving farmers, absolutely comes through. Whether it's through language choice or outlook on certain situations, such as wanting to save everyone always, this side of Clark is almost naive even. We see in the thick of battles, he still tries to talk to villains and talk them out of fighting, inspire them to go a better route. And in essence, this is what Superman is. He cares about even the smallest of lives, no matter how insignificant, almost to a fault. And the message sent in this movie is ever important, especially during these trying days that we live in. The consistent message is that everyone should be loved and protected regardless of the political ideology or place of origin that one is from. And this is a message that seems to be missing in Hollywood these days. Naturally, it's Superman who has to remind us of this fact. Corenswet filled this role with gusto and grace. I loved Cavill's Superman, and I would never take anything away from it, but this new version of Superman feels like a direct sequel to Christopher Reeve. James Gunn simply gets Superman, which is a hard thing to do, in all honesty. Superman is not an easy character to write. So let's talk about other aspects of this movie other than David Corenswet, because in all honesty, you just kind of have to see him to understand why he's so good in this role. There's not much else I can tell you without giving away spoilers. So starting with the supporting cast of this movie, holy moly, were they great. I'd like to compare the success this movie had with its compelling supporting cast to that of Black Adam, a movie with a similar structure of supporting its supporting characters revolving around its title character, but done in a completely mirrored way, meaning it was fucking terrible, other than Dr. Fate. Right off the bat, I don't think a more interesting and gripping live-action version of Lois Lane has ever graced the big or small screens. This Lois Lane was not only a phenomenal reporter who stops at nothing to get the truth, she is a three-dimensional character who grows, learns, and gets shit done. She has an actual role in the story, and that role isn't being a damsel in distress. Rachel Brosnahan made this role her own. Her chemistry with Corenswet is absolutely undeniable. They are sparks on screen. They are Superman and Lois. Anyone who knows about Superman knows that his story will more often than not hinge on how well his relationship with Lois is written. And in this movie, we enter their relationship about 3 months in, where they've gotten through their honeymoon phase, and now they are learning to have to grow as a couple to fit Clark's alternate life or fall apart. In this crossroads, Lois's character grows into what she becomes by the end of the movie. The rest of the supporting cast was also very good. Nicholas Hoult put his heart and soul into this role. The man feels like a bitter, vindictive billionaire, and these days we all know too well what these egomaniacs are actually like, and he nails it. He nails it. For the first time, I think we're actually seeing a truly unhinged Lex Luthor. Somebody who wants to burn a village to kill a rabbit named Superman. 10 seconds into his first scene, which was at the very beginning of the movie, I leaned over to my girlfriend and I said, already better than Jesse Eisenberg. And God, was that true. Truly remarkable performance from him, specifically in the third act. He really brings it home there. The Justice Gang, so we got Guy Gardner's Green Lantern, we got Hawkgirl, we got Mr. Terrific, and then we got Metamorpho. They felt like a set of real characters with some real stakes in the situation. Obviously not too much spotlight was focused on them, but when they were there, they did have a role. They weren't just there. Hawkgirl and Metamorpho were fine. I would say that they're probably the two weakest characters in the movie, but that's not to say that they were weak characters, only that they weren't as involved as the other characters. They were more there just to either serve a certain plot point at a certain point in the story, or to just kind of fill the space and be another hero on screen doing something. Nothing bad about that, especially considering that Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner was obviously going to be amazing and was amazing. He cracked so many jokes that all landed. He really stood out on screen and stole the spotlight whenever he was there. The effects looked good for the Green Lantern stuff as well. But I will say, the true standout, in my opinion, surprisingly, was Mr. Terrific. I did not expect to like Mr. Terrific as much as I did, but wow, they really nailed him, man. His tech savvy, his edgy attitude, his dry humor, it all landed. And that's another thing I do want to talk about, okay? I do want to talk about the humor. The jokes really landed, you guys. This is what Marvel tries to do, but fails, which is balancing the jokes with the seriousness. You get a sort of feeling of the Marvel MCU style humor, but you find yourself actually laughing because the humor is used appropriately at the right times, and it's actually funny, right? Most of it doesn't feel artificial or like ChatGPT wrote it. It feels like it's a real joke and a real thing that a person in this situation may say, situationally. So, Superman stories have traditionally been very lighthearted and contained comic relief before the 2010s rolled around with your Zack Snyders and your Injustices. A lot of people, I think, are giving this movie flack, without seeing it, obviously, for having humor, but these people are forgetting, or rather they just don't know because they're not fans, that the original Donner Superman movies had a ton of comedy, while still keeping the serious moments serious and the stakes appropriately weighted. This movie achieves the same thing. The jokes land and make you laugh. My theater was certainly cracking up. But the serious moments have you at the edge of your seat. They have you excited. I was actually at the edge of my seat in the third act. I was leaning over watching. I was invested. A couple of final notes for the things that I loved. Whoever wrote Crypto, honestly, dude, that guy knows exactly what it is like to have a large dog that doesn't know its size or strength. I have two dogs, one 50-pound pit bull and one 100-pound Dane, who is lying down on my legs right now as I'm recording this. And it is absolutely true. They do not understand that they're big, that they're strong, that they can hurt their owners, that they can destroy things just by being hectic and excited. And Crypto was just too accurate to this fact, not to mention adorable. Loved Crypto. Absolutely loved him. Finally, I want to talk about CGI. I left the CGI till the end because whenever I watch a movie or a video game review or something, whenever someone starts off talking about the CGI, to me that's always a sign that the rest of it kind of sucked because CGI is the only thing that they can give credit to. So I'm leaving CGI to the end because everything else in the movie was really good, but the CGI was also very good, right? The CGI was one of my main concerns from the trailers. When I saw the trailers, I was a little worried. It looked iffy here and there, but I've been proven wrong. The CGI was fantastic. Some of the best visual effects I've seen since Endgame. They clearly put a lot of time and effort into it, and thank God, because the movie really hinged on whether the CGI was going to work or not. So many of those scenes just wouldn't have looked good with bad CGI, and then the movie just wouldn't have been good. They clearly had a lot of talented people working on it, and in the credits, if you look, the visual effects and like animator sections, right, are the longest ones there. They had a lot of people working on this stuff, so they did a great job with it. So, was the movie perfect? No, nothing's perfect. Obviously, there were maybe a few things I can criticize. Again, this is a spoiler-free review, so I'm not going to get into details. But there were maybe 3 plot holes that I managed to deduce while watching. I know that the plot holes and some inconsistencies were something that a lot of people were concerned about going in that heard from reviews. But I only really found 3. There were a couple more that were explained that I thought were plot holes, but were explained when I thought about it a little bit more. 2 of the 3 that I caught really weren't the biggest deal. Like, you can find a way to explain those to yourself in headcanon, say, like, oh, something off screen must have happened. Like, it's plausible, right? Those 2, it's plausible. Could they have explained it a little better, spent a little more time? Maybe. I'm sure they had time constraints, so whatever, they're plausible. There was one glowing plot hole, though. One that really made no sense, and in my opinion, absolutely killed a scene that otherwise would have been an awesome scene if that plot hole wasn't bringing it down. And this isn't even like a deep-seated plot hole. Like, they said something early in the movie, and then at this point, they said something that contradicted it. It's not even that deep. It was quite literally just what was happening on the screen didn't make sense. Like there was implication A, and then there was reality B, and those things just didn't make sense. There was no connection there. It had you thinking, wait, but what? Hold on, wait, but wait. Like, that's what I kept thinking. So that was really the one thing that I could think of that was a real criticism. That plot hole, and I think many people are gonna know which scene I'm talking about. But if you don't and you've watched the movie, let me know. I can make a spoiler-free or a spoiler review, going over it and some other things. But other than that, the movie was simply wonderful. Without that inconsistency, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Because of it, I give this movie more of an 8, 8.5, although over time, I think this movie is going to age very well, and I almost certainly will bump that back up to a 9 once I get over it, right? One other criticism I had, just one last little one, which really isn't that big a deal at all, is that sometimes it did seem like the environment catered to the plot. What I mean by that is, when the plot shifted in one way, the environment shifted with it. And it gave it kind of a too clean way to wrap up plot points or wrap up character interactions where things just kind of worked. Without giving away spoilers, it's like the idea is like everyone dislikes Superman for something, but then Superman, something happens to Superman in his story, and then everyone suddenly likes him again, even though like maybe it wasn't put on the teleprompter or in the news for everyone to see. So it was very much like the world wanted to move with the direction of the plot. Unlike, Snyder's Superman, I don't want to make a lot of comparisons, but unlike Snyder's Superman, which like was very much the opposite, like the world was going against whatever Superman wanted to do, and that was a very interesting conflict there. Ultimately, though, I don't think this is a big deal. I don't even have a problem with it, because the movie is meant to be like an animated series episode stretched out into 2 hours of live action. And if you remember those episodes, right, like even episodes of like Smallville, right, they did wrap up nicely by the end. They had to. They were TV shows, so that by the time we got to the next episode, we could start from zero, from the status quo. So keeping that in mind, it's really not that big a deal. It's the smallest criticism I can find. That's it, man. That's it. It's not a big deal, but I just wanted to note it. If you love movies, but you aren't a huge Superman fan, you will enjoy this movie. You will have a good time. If you are a Superman fan and or a comic reader, you will almost certainly love this movie, as in my opinion, it encapsulates everything important about Superman. Okay, beside the movie itself, I want to very quickly just talk about this fan war that has surrounded this movie for the past couple of years with the whole Snyder versus Gunn nonsense. I just need to get this off my chest, right? I put fan in quotations because they're not fans. A true fan of Superman appreciates both versions. Both versions offer a different side of the character, and both versions offer perspective on its respective side of its coin. I love Man of Steel, and I love Superman 2025. They are both incredible movies, and watching these fans on either side try to discredit either for the other is absolutely disgusting. We are all fans of the same character, the same universe, the same comics. We are brothers and sisters of the fandom. Please stop this hating and fighting. If this movie leaves you with one thing, please let it leave you with the message that we are all the same. There is no point in sowing needless division when we should love and protect one another, even when we disagree, guys, especially when we disagree. That's when it becomes most important. So I know there's this need to want to fight for what you believe in, no matter how small these days, and you want to go tooth and nail with it. But please remember, both versions of this character are designed to spread hope. It's a story. It's designed to bring us together. So let's live up to that example, yeah? Thank you for tuning in, you guys. If you enjoyed, once again, please drop a like and a follow. It really does help me out. I'm trying to get to this 100 sub goal, and I would just really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys thought of Superman. I'm eager to hear from you guys and your opinions. Let me know. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and you stay safe. I will catch you all later.